Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm going to discuss something that has the power to shift the entire trajectory of your life. Something that may not sound glamorous or inspirational at first, but I promise you, it's the foundation of breakthrough. I want to talk about discipline over motivation. See, a lot of us have been waiting on a feeling, waiting on the stars to align, waiting on the right mood, the right moment, the right energy. We've been waiting to feel like it. And I came here to tell you that if you keep waiting on motivation, you're gonna be waiting for a long, long time. Motivation is a guest that shows up whenever it wants to. It's inconsistent. It'll hype you up on a Sunday after church, get you all excited and ready to write that book, start that business, go back to school, and then Monday morning comes. That alarm clock goes off. Life starts lifing, and that motivation gone. Now you're sitting there tired, distracted, and wondering what happened to all that fire you had. But discipline? Oh, discipline doesn't care how you feel. Discipline is the friend that shows up at your door every single morning, whether you're excited or not. Whether you had 8 hours of sleep or 3, whether you're in the mood or whether you're mad at the world, discipline says we've got work to do anyway. And I know it's not sexy. I know we don't want to hear it. We want the quick fix, we want to be inspired. But hear me, your success is not in your inspiration. It's in your consistency. It's in showing up even when you're tired. It's in pushing through even when you're afraid. It's in doing what needs to be done even when nobody's watching. I remember when I was writing my book. There were days I woke up and thought, I have nothing to say. I don't feel like pouring out. I don't feel like being vulnerable today. But I had to make a decision. Was I going to let my feelings lead me, or was I going to let my calling lead me? Was I going to wait to be inspired, or was I going to be faithful to what God put in my hands? And somebody in here needs to hear this. You're not lazy. You're not broken. You're just relying on a source that was never meant to carry you through. Motivation is a spark, but discipline is the flame that keeps burning. If you want to see real transformation in your life, you've got to learn to do it anyway. Do it afraid, do it tired, do it confused, do it without applause, do it when it feels dry. Because that's when the breakthrough happens, not when everything is perfect, but when you decide to keep moving anyway. I want you to think about how many dreams have died because someone said, I just wasn't feeling it. How many songs were never written? How many books are still in your journal? How many businesses stayed in the notebook? How many callings went unanswered because we thought we had to feel ready? Let me tell you something. I preached with tears in my eyes. I've spoken with a broken heart. I've walked on stages when I felt unqualified, unworthy, and unsure. And yet I showed up. Not because I was motivated, but because I was disciplined. Because I made a vow to my purpose, and I refused to break it. And that's the level of commitment it takes. That's the kind of mindset that produces fruit. It's not the person who starts the race full of hype. It's the one who keeps running when the music fades and the crowd goes home. So, no more waiting on a feeling. No more waiting for permission. No more needing everything to be just right. You have what it takes right now. Now when you feel stronger, now when you feel more confident, now when everything makes sense, right now, it's time to silence that inner voice that says, I'll do it later. It's time to kill the habit of procrastination with the power of decision. Every time you show up when you don't feel like it, you are training yourself to be unstoppable. You are rewriting the story of your life with every small act of obedience. Discipline says, I don't negotiate with my purpose. Discipline says, my feelings don't get to vote. Discipline says, I'll do the work whether I want to or not, because I'm building something eternal. And listen, I know it's hard. I know some of y'all are in here fighting battles nobody sees. I know you're tired. I know life hasn't been fair, but you didn't come this far to quit over a feeling. You didn't survive what you survived to sit down now. You've been called. You've been chosen. You've been equipped. Now it's time to move. Not tomorrow. Not when it feels good, but now. Because the next level of your life is waiting on your decision, not your motivation. And once you've made that decision, once you've said, I'm not going to wait until I feel like it, I'm going to act because I need to, the very next step is this. You've got to catch the moment before it passes. You've got to grab it before your mind talks you out of it. You know how we do. We feel that spark, that tiny tug on the inside. You get an idea. You feel the Holy Spirit whisper, a move. And right there, in that small moment, you either step into it or you start hesitating, you start overthinking. You start analyzing, scrolling, doubting, delaying. And that's why I love this simple tool. This rule I use in my own life. It's called the 5-second rule. Now, I didn't make this up, but I've lived it. And I promise you it works. The rule says this: when you have an instinct to act on a goal, count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and move. Don't give your fear a chance to take the mic. Don't give doubt a seat at the table. Don't give your past the power to interrupt your future. You've got to move before your brain talks you out of it, because it will. Oh, yes, it will. The brain is a survival machine, not a purpose machine. It wants to keep you safe. It wants to keep you comfortable. It wants to keep you in the same place you've always been. So if you give it too long, it'll start saying things like, you're not ready for that. What if you fail? Or what if people judge you? Or what if it doesn't work out like last time? But when you count down 5, 4, 3, 2, when you cut through the noise, you bypass the hesitation. You say to yourself, I hear the fear, but I'm not led by it. You say, I'm going anyway. You say, I'm going anyway. Let me make this plain for you. Some of y'all have had books sitting inside your heart for 5 years. And every time you think, I should start writing, that fear shows up and starts listing all the reasons why it's not the right time. But what if next time the idea comes to your heart, you count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, open your laptop and write the first sentence. That business you've been dreaming of, the blog you've been thinking about, that phone call you've been avoiding, that workout you've been saying you'll do it tomorrow. What if you stop waiting to want to do it and you just do it scared, do it unsure, do it anyway? Discipline is the decision to do without feelings. But this right here, this 5-second rule, that's your trigger. That's your way to interrupt the cycle of hesitation and step into obedience. Let me tell you something real. The enemy doesn't have to destroy you. He just needs to distract you. If he can keep you stuck in hesitation, stuck in indecision, stuck in second-guessing yourself, he doesn't have to take anything from you. You'll leave it on the table yourself. That dream, that purpose, that opportunity, it'll stay locked inside of you because you never moved when it mattered, and we don't realize how quickly that window can close. Sometimes God gives you a nudge, a moment of divine clarity, and if you don't act, you miss the door. Not because you weren't capable, not because you weren't called, but because you let 5 seconds of fear cost you 5 years of progress. So now we've got to train ourselves. Train ourselves to recognize the moment and move anyway. We don't need the full map. We don't need the full map. We don't need perfect clarity. All we need is the next right step and the courage to take it before the enemy steals it from us. I remember a season in my life when I was terrified to step forward. I made some mistakes, I had some shame, and I felt like I wasn't worthy to speak, to lead, to teach. But God kept whispering, and move with son. I'm moving. And Mama is. Speak, share, and let me be honest with you, every time I felt that tug, I wanted to run. I wanted to hide. I wanted to wait until I felt more confident. But I had to start counting down. I'd be in the back room before going on stage, heart pounding, voice shaking, and I'd whisper to myself a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go, and I'd walk out, not because I was ready, but because I refused to let fear decide for me. And some of y'all are waiting for fear to leave before you move. But I need you to hear me. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's moving in the presence of it. It's saying, fear, you can ride in the back, but you're not driving this car. If you can train yourself to act before your mind talks you down, you will start to rewrite your story one decision at a time. And just like discipline builds strength, this quick obedience builds trust. Trust in yourself. Trust in God. Trust that you are equipped even when you don't feel like it. So we don't wait. We move. We count down. We trust the God who called us. And we take that next step, not because we're sure, but because we're surrendered. Now listen. After you've made that decision to move in spite of your feelings, after you've counted down and taken that first step, I need to talk to you about something that might surprise you. Because even once you get started, even once you finally move, it still might feel overwhelming. You might look at the big picture of what you're called to do, and suddenly your heart starts racing again. You think, how am I supposed to build this whole business? How am I supposed to write an entire book? How am I supposed to change my whole life? And this is where we mess ourselves up. We get inspired, we make the decision, we even move, but then we look too far ahead. We try to conquer the whole mountain in one day, and when it feels too big, we freeze. That old feeling creeps back in, and we start thinking, maybe I can't do this after all. But let me tell you something I had to learn the hard way. You don't climb a mountain by jumping to the top. You climb it one step at a time. And sometimes that step is so small, it feels like it doesn't even matter. But it does. That small step is how you break the cycle. That tiny action is what unlocks momentum. So when you don't know where to start small. Start where you are, with what you have, doing what you can. The goal is not perfection. The goal is progress. I'm not asking you to write the whole book tonight. Can you write one paragraph? I'm not telling you to go run 5 miles. Can you just put your shoes on and walk around the block? Can you just show up? Sometimes we think taking small steps makes us weak. But I'm telling you, it makes you wise. Because small steps are sustainable, small steps are consistent. Small steps build habits, and habits shape your future. See, you don't become the person God called you to be overnight. You become through daily choices, small disciplines, and quiet obedience. Let me be transparent. When I first stepped into ministry, it didn't start with lights, microphones, and stages. It started with saying yes to a small group. It started with showing up when nobody knew my name. It started with studying scripture in my room while everybody else was out having fun. And that small obedience, day after day, is what built the foundation for everything you see now. But it didn't look like purpose at first. It didn't feel like greatness at first. It looked ordinary. It felt small. But can I remind you that God loves small beginnings? He says to do not despise the day of small beginnings. Why? Because that's where faith is formed. That's where character is built. That's where intimacy with Him grows. Sometimes we get so obsessed with the big picture that we miss the beauty of now. We miss the power in doing the next right thing. Not the next big, the next right thing. And I believe that's a word for somebody here tonight. You've been paralyzed not because you're lazy, not because you're incapable, but because you've been trying to do it all at once. And God is saying, baby, I didn't ask you to finish it tonight. I asked you to start it. I asked you to trust me enough to take just one step. And the enemy wants you to think that if you're not doing it perfectly, it's not worth doing. But he is a liar. Perfection is not required for purpose. God doesn't need you to have it all figured out. He just needs you to trust Him with the piece He's placed in your hands right now. So what does that look like in your life? Maybe it's waking up 10 minutes earlier to pray. Maybe it's replacing one negative thought with truth. Maybe it's choosing to drink water today instead of soda. Maybe it's making the phone call, sending the email, asking for help, or forgiving that person. It doesn't have to be big to be powerful. Small steps change your life because they change you. They shift your identity. Every time you do something you didn't feel like doing, every time you choose purpose over comfort, every time you show up when it would have been easier to quit, you are telling your mind, this is who I am now. You are building a new normal. You are reprogramming your habits. You are becoming the person your future needs you to be. So don't let the size of the dream scare you out of the process. Let the dream inspire you, but then come back to earth and ask, what's my move today? Because your destiny is not found in one big moment. It's built in 1,000 small ones. And if you'll just be faithful with what's in front of you, if you'll stop waiting for the big leap and just take that next small step, God will meet you right there every single time. But even as you take those small steps, even as you start building that discipline, even as you count down and move and show up faithfully, there's still one more thing that might hold you back. And I want to talk about it because it's real. You can have the decision, you can have the action, you can even have the plan. But if you don't feel the weight of what's at stake, you'll talk yourself out of finishing what you started. Let me say it straight. Sometimes you've got to attach some pain to your inaction. Now I know that's not what we want to hear. We love to talk about purpose, joy, destiny, and trust me, I love all of that too. But some of us don't move just because we haven't truly felt the cost of staying where we are. We haven't made the consequences real enough. Sometimes the thing that finally pushes you forward isn't just your dream. It's your discomfort with staying stuck. It's the realization that the longer you wait, the more you lose, the more time you waste, the more opportunities slip through your fingers. I want you to ask yourself something right now. What is it costing you to stay the same? What is it costing you to keep putting off the vision? What is it costing your family, your calling, your peace? What's being stolen from your future every time you let fear win? You've got to get honest with yourself, real honest, because we love to sugarcoat our delay. We say, I'm just waiting on clarity, or I'm just praying on it, or it's not the right time. But deep down, we know it's not about timing. It's about fear. It's about pain we haven't dealt with. It's about a story we've told ourselves for so long that we actually started believing it. And if you don't challenge that story, it'll become your reality. If you don't feel the urgency of your purpose, you'll keep living like you've got forever. Like there's no expiration date on opportunity. But can I tell you something that might shake you? You don't have forever. Time is moving, life is happening. And the more you delay, the more you start settling into a version of yourself that was never meant to be the final chapter. You were made for more. You know that. But knowing is not enough. You've got to feel the ache of wasted time. You've got to feel the frustration of cycles repeating. You've got to feel the sting of knowing that 5 years ago you could have been further, but you let fear stop you. And I don't say that to shame you. I say that to wake you up. Because that pain, that discomfort, that's not punishment. That's your power source. That's your push. Use it. I remember a time in my life where I kept playing small. I had words to say, messages to give, but I was scared of how people would receive me. I was scared of messing up, so I stayed quiet. I stayed hidden. But every time I saw someone else walking in their boldness, it wasn't jealousy I felt. It was conviction. It was like God was saying, if that could be you, that should be you. But you keep letting your pain mute purpose, and one day I had to sit with it. I had to look in the mirror and ask myself, Sarah, what are you missing out on by playing safe? I had to face the hard truth that staying stuck was slowly suffocating the woman God had called me to be. And that realization, it hurt. But that pain became my fuel. That pain became my reminder every time I wanted to shrink back. And some of you need that kind of wake-up call. You've been comfortable too long. You've normalized frustration. You've accepted Unstuck as your standard. But deep down, you know this isn't it. You know there's more. And I believe right now, in this moment, God is stirring something in you. Not just to dream again, but to move again. And if the vision isn't enough, let the pain of staying still be what finally drives you to act. Because staying stuck has a price. Every day you don't act is a day you're not becoming. Every delay is a piece of your destiny deferred, and not just yours. Because hear me, your obedience doesn't just affect you, it affects everybody connected to your purpose, your children, your community. The people waiting to hear your story, your message, your breakthrough. So if you won't do it for you, do it for them. Do it for the woman who's watching you and thinking, if she can rise, maybe I can too. Do it for the little girl in you who still believes you're capable. Do it for the generations coming after you who need to see what resilience looks like in real time. This isn't about perfection. It's about pressure. The right kind of pressure. The kind that reminds you, I can't afford to keep sleeping on myself. You've already wasted too much time. You've already let too many moments pass. And now it's time to move, not just because it's exciting, but because not moving hurts too much. Let that pain speak. Let it push you. Let it provoke your progress. Because when you finally feel the cost of staying the same, you'll stop negotiating with your calling. Because at some point, family, you've got to get tired of the back and forth. Tired of the tug of war between who you've been and who you're called to be. Tired of dancing with destiny on Sunday and then ghosting your purpose by Monday. We've already made the decision. We've counted down and taken the step. We've broken it down into small actions. We felt the pain of staying stuck. Now it's time to take it all the way. And that means one thing, it's time to commit. Now I know commitment is a scary word for some of us. Commitment means consistency. Commitment means showing up when it's not cute anymore, when the fire of inspiration fades and all you've got left is a schedule, a plan, and a purpose. But can I tell you something? The people you admire didn't get where they are because they were inspired every day. They got there because they refused to quit. Because they built routines and rituals that supported their growth, not just their feelings. So I want to ask you this. What structures have you built around your calling? What routines have you put in place to protect your purpose when your feelings are fickle? Because feelings change, but discipline sustains. You can't build a legacy on inspiration alone. You've got to build habits that pull you back into alignment when your emotions want to drift. Let's be real. There are going to be days when you don't feel like it. There are going to be moments when your mind tells you, it doesn't matter, or no one will notice if you don't show up today. But you've got to answer back with your standards, not your feelings. You've got to respond with your why, not your weariness. You've got to look that laziness in the face and say, you don't get to run my life anymore. Because hear me, you don't rise to the level of your goals, to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. That means it's not just about dreaming bigger, it's about planning smarter. What are you doing daily that aligns with the woman or man you're becoming? What do your mornings look like? Your evenings? Your circle? Your calendar? Because if your environment doesn't support your purpose, it will slowly sabotage it. And listen, this is not about being perfect. This is about being intentional. This is about deciding I'm not waking up every day winging it and hoping I stay focused. I'm going to create a lifestyle that carries me when my mood won't. You've got to protect your purpose. That means setting boundaries. That means managing your time. That means choosing discipline over drama, focus over FOMO, and growth over comfort. Some of us are asking God to bless a purpose we won't even protect. We're praying for elevation while still giving distraction VIP access to our lives. But God is saying, I've already placed greatness in you. Now build a life around it. That means some things and some people can't come with you. Not because you don't love them, but because your calling is too costly to keep handing it over to chaos. You've got to be willing to be misunderstood, to be disciplined, to be different. You've got to be willing to build in private what will be seen in public. And you do that by showing up every single day with commitment. And let me say this, commitment isn't just about external action. It's about internal agreement. It's about deciding in your heart that this is who I am now. It's no longer just something you do, it's someone you become. And when you become it, nobody has to convince you anymore. You don't need constant motivation. You don't need applause. You've already made up your mind. You've already built the rhythm. And now you move with momentum, not because it's easy, but because you're aligned. That's when real transformation happens, when it becomes less about hype and more about habits, less about getting started and more about not stopping. You don't have to see all the results today, but when you're committed, you know the results are coming because God always honors consistency. He always breathes on discipline, and he always multiplies what you're faithful with. So I need you to commit fully, boldly. Not halfway, not part-time, not when it's convenient, but in the way you live, the way you speak, the way you schedule, the way you serve. Because you've come too far to play small now. You've pushed past your fear. You've taken steps when it didn't feel good. You've broken patterns and tasted the cost of delay. Now it's time to lock in. Because what God is building in you isn't fragile, it's foundational. And foundations aren't fast. They take time, they take work. But once they're set, baby, they can carry anything. And you're about to carry blessings, platforms, responsibilities, and opportunities you've been praying for. But only if you've built the discipline to hold it. So no more halfway, no more starting and stopping. No more excuses. You've made the decision. You've taken the step. You've stayed through the pain. Now you commit to the process until it produces the promise. Final thoughts, family. You don't need another sign. You don't need another confirmation. You are the one God chose for this assignment. Not because you're perfect, not because you're always ready, but because he sees what's in you, even when you don't. Everything you need to start is already inside of you. The fire, the faith, the strength, the creativity, endurance, it's already there. And what you don't have yet, God will supply on the journey, not before it. That's why he's waiting on your movement, not your perfection. You've learned the tools. You've heard the truth. Now it's time to force yourself to take action. Not someday, not when you feel like it, but now. Because your future is too important to wait, your calling is too sacred to delay, and your impact is too necessary to keep hidden. So rise up, decide, move, build, commit, and when you do, you won't just change your life, you'll become the reason someone else believes they can change this too. Let's go.